Hey everyone, Bearded Runner here, bringing you another running shoe review. Today's shoe is going to be the New Balance 1080 V12. Now, this is a shoe that came out in the spring of 2022, so I'm a little bit late to the game. But this is New Balance's signature shoe, and for me personally, it's a shoe that is a natural transition going from the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3, which was my last review, into this shoe. They both have an 8mm heel to toe offset, so I wanted to stick in the same range for my next shoe. There's a few things I like about this shoe better than the Endorphin Speed 3, and what I'd like to do is just go over some of the technical specs of this and then give you a more in-depth review. Now, moving forward for the rest of my shoes on my page, what I plan on doing is kind of breaking it up into a 3-part series. So I want to give my initial reaction on shoes. Then I want to give a testing phase update when I am in the middle of trying the shoe and give you all some aspects that I like or dislike about it. And then I want to spend more time with the shoe and give you a more thorough, in-depth review. So I actually spent a little bit more time in this shoe than I did in the Endorphin Speed 3, which for me, I need a little bit of time to really get acquainted. It's easy for me to jump the gun and say, oh, I love this shoe as soon as I put it on and start running in it. But as you progress through a few runs, you can start to feel a little bit of changes in the shoe. And overall, I just want to have a little bit more in-depth analysis and have a little bit more of an impression for myself as well. So moving forward with this shoe, here are some technical specs about it. This shoe, like I mentioned, has an 8mm heel to toe offset. So it is a 36mm stack height in the back and a 28mm stack height in the front. Now in a men's size 9, this shoe weighs 10.3 ounces. And in a women's size 8, it weighs 8.3 ounces. So not a heavy shoe, also not a lightweight shoe, kind of in that middle range. Any type of men's shoe that is around 10 ounces is kind of a mid-weight. But it doesn't, even though it's a lot heavier than the Speed 3, it doesn't feel heavy at all. It's a very smooth ride. Few things that I noticed about this shoe are the fresh foam tech. The cushion feels really responsive and nice. And then one of the things that I think I like the most about this shoe was this material that they use on the upper that is very flexible. I'll try and let you see that here. So this hypo knit technology that they incorporated into this shoe, not only does it use 50% or more recycled materials, but it's great for people who have a slightly wider foot. So for me, I am in between a D and an E width. So a little bit wider than standard, but not wide enough for a wide shoe. This shoe felt great on my foot because of that upper and that material. And you can even see the basic shape of the shoe itself is a little bit wider, which provides a little bit more balance and stability to the stride as well. So this is a great shoe for someone who maybe doesn't quite need a wide shoe, but they have a little bit more volume in the front of their foot and want something that's going to accommodate that a little bit more. Now, another thing that I want to mention about this shoe though is that it runs about a half size big. For me personally, I like that. I like a little bit of extra space in my shoe. I can't stand when a shoe feels a little bit snug, but for some people, that's their preference. So I would say if you like a more true fitting shoe or even a slightly snugger shoe, go down about a half size from what you normally wear. If you like some extra space, stick with your normal size. So I normally wear a 13, this is a 13. I definitely had more space in this than the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3, which actually fit a little bit snug. So moving on, give you a little bit closer look at this shoe, talk a little bit about this fresh foam tech. This is a line of cushion that they have that incorporates EVA foam that is in a few different models of their shoes. What I like about this is that it is bouncy and it is soft, but it is not so bouncy that you lose any stability, and it is not so soft that you lose energy return. So when I ran in this shoe, it felt like I was still feeling the road, but it felt plush underneath my foot. The Endorphin Speed 3, that technology is incredible, but it is too much bounce for me. I am a heavier guy. I am about 240 pounds. I am not a fast runner. I run about an 8-minute mile when I'm running for distance. So for me, the bounce of the Endorphin Speed 3, I think was just a little bit too much. This is a little bit more of a natural feeling shoe, a little bit smoother feeling shoe. So I actually like this shoe a little bit better. Another thing about this, and hopefully you can see in here, is the natural rock to the shoe. So I love the shape and the design of this shoe. So let me break down kind of my impression on it overall. I normally judge my shoes on a 1 to 5 scale, judging uniqueness, judging the comfort, judging the aesthetics of it, comparing it to other shoes that are similarly priced or a similar style of running shoe, and then I kind of give an overall impression. So the first thing I'm going to be looking at is just the uniqueness of the shoe. I'm going to give that a 4.4 out of 5. I think that this is a unique shoe, but there are no bells or whistles on it in the way that the Endorphin Speed 3 or some other Daily Trainer shoes have. So there's the Fresh Foam Tech, which I mentioned earlier, and that does have a unique feel to it. Another thing that I like and that adds to the overall performance of the shoe and the unique factor is that they did away with that old heel cup design that was in the V11 and was in some other New Balance models as well. So this is a more traditional design on the heel, which I really liked. I think for some people, the V11 worked really well with this heel cup design, but for a lot of people, it would break down too quickly and it would actually cause some issues in the heel for some runners. So I like that they got rid of that and they went with this. Also, that material that I mentioned up here is really unique. There's not really any other shoes that have that kind of stretchy, flexible feel right here in the same way that this shoe does. So overall, 4.4 out of 5 in the unique factor. The next thing we would talk about here is comfort. So this shoe is incredibly comfortable. This is actually a shoe that is versatile enough, I think, for even people who are not runners. So for nurses or for people who are on their feet for long periods of time, this shoe has enough cushion and enough comfort to accommodate that throughout the day. And that's what's great about a lot of running shoes, is that they're really beneficial for walkers or even for people who are just on their feet for long periods of time because of the technology that they incorporate into the shoes. So I would give this comfort a 4.7 out of 5. It felt good, it felt stable, it felt smooth, it felt soft, but there were a couple runs that I had that I was a little bit sore afterwards. It could have just been the terrain that I was on. I don't want to directly attribute that to the shoe, but overall, as soon as I put this on my foot, I liked the comfort of it, and that comfort persisted throughout my runs. So the next thing I want to talk about here are the aesthetics of the shoe. And I think this is a good looking shoe. I think this is better looking than previous models. I think it's better looking than a lot of other running shoes in this category. I would give it a 4.6 out of 5. I think it has kind of a standard New Balance look. There's nothing super special, but it does look athletic. It looks smooth. It looks youthful. So this is a shoe that I think is fun looking. I think that it has just a good athletic vibe to it. It's a shoe that I would not mind wearing out in public with sweatpants or with shorts. And overall, again, 4.6 out of 5 as far as the aesthetics go. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a closer view here of the shoe. And the next thing I want to talk about is just the overall impression and overall performance of the shoe. So I would give this, actually, let me backtrack a little bit because I forgot to compare it to some other shoes. So I will talk about my overall impression, but I want to compare it to some other shoes. So I have tried on, and I haven't gone for long runs in, but I have jogged around in the Brooks Glycerin 19 as well as the Brooks Glycerin 20. I've also tried the Triumph 19. I'm looking to get the Triumph 20, which just came out, to compare it to this, but compared to some other shoes that are in a similar weight range, about 10 ounces or so, Daily Trainers, I like this better than most. This actually is probably my favorite that I've tried so far. So as far as a comparison goes, I'm going to give it a 4.7 out of 5. which leads me to my overall opinion of the shoe, and I would give it a 4.6 out of 5. I think that's a very high rating for me. I think that that's a very fair rating. There's not a whole lot that is left to be desired. I think that the cushion in the heel is amazing. The cushion in the forefoot is good. If I could get a little bit more bounce and energy return out of the forefoot, I would probably improve that. Performance-wise, I felt quick in this shoe. It did not feel cumbersome. But I do think I can go faster in some other shoes. And so that would be maybe my only, complaint. Not even a complaint because it still felt great, but just the only thing that would knock a little bit off the overall score. So just to recap that, 4.6 out of 5. This is the New Balance 1080 V12. This is an 8mm heel to toe offset. This is a shoe that is $160. Great daily trainer. Highly recommend for every type of run. So you could run this on race day. You could run this as a daily trainer. You could use it for speed runs. You could use it for easy recovery runs because of this cushion. And then again, even if you're not a runner, if you are a walker or if you are someone who is looking for comfort, this shoe has got what you need. So with that being said, I am the Bearded Runner. I'm going to wrap up this shoe review. I hope you stay tuned for more reviews. Please subscribe, please like this video, and please give me some feedback in the comments. All right, guys, have a good one. Take care.